Try this exercise. It's an exercise in inquiry. Whenever there is a buffet, it really works well on the weekend mornings in hotels. They have these buffets put out, some of them. You want to go to those buffets by yourself with nobody else jabbering in your ear. And you want to sit in a view of the buffet. And what you want to focus on is one thing and one thing only. The children. You want to focus on the children, especially the 2 to 3 year olds. But 4, 5, 6, and 7, great. Originally, the real young ones. You want to just watch them. And don't bring your phone or any kind of distraction whatsoever. 0. Just you sitting there, relaxed, just watching the small child interact. Don't go to the other interaction person. You want to first stay just with the child. See, the child has to be all basically that you see. Even when it's talking or reaching to somebody else, you just want to just look at the child and what it's doing. And it's complete inquiry, right? It's in wonder is where it is. That's where the child is, in wonder. It's inquiry. It's what that is. Then after a while, you can zoom out a tiny bit and include the interaction person if there are any. And then you can just see those two and try to ignore everything else that's going on around. Everything else, you keep it in the background. Understand? So you can actually just look at the interaction and now include the other person, and then you could put them in together, and now you're actually seeing the actions of just these two people. You see, that's wonder. That's curiosity. That's what we left behind. Somehow, somewhere. Sit there longer. Next child. Watch a 5 and 6 year old. They actually have different spaces of wonder, but you'll notice that the spaces of wonder are much smaller. So what actually changes? Because when you look at the older kids, there's hardly any wonder whatsoever. And then when you look at the adults, there's no wonder whatsoever. So what changes? Rather simple. Wonder is inquiry. That requires and demands only one thing. Questions. Curiosity. Questions. That's all wonder is. And then you see what happens is they remove the questions and they provide the answers. So the wonder is not from you anymore. They're telling you who you are now. And the only thing that can come from your own source that's not an answer relay, which is what I see, is if it comes from wonder, then it's source. If it's not, then it's somebody else's garbage that you're passing along. Now, there's something else that comes with wonder. If you remember that 2-year-old child, 3-year-old child, there's something else that comes with wonder. And that is, after a while, they become pains in the asses. Correct? Why? Stop asking why. Right? They become pain in the asses is what happens. Why does that happen? Because the people that are saying they're pain in the asses don't have wonder. If they did, they'd be able to see these different stages without going to college and getting other people's opinions and their translations, interpretations of somebody else's stories. And then they're going to tell you about you. Really? Did they ever tell you that you can control your frontal recognition like I just had you do with just zooming in on the child, then zoom out a little bit? Everything else stayed in the background, didn't it? Okay. You're controlling that. They have everyone trapped in a life of no choice. And if you need anything, you have to go to them. How do I know this? Well, remember that 2, 3-year-old child? The wonder? Okay. That's been my whole life, even now. That's all I do. And if you ask anybody that's known me my entire life, they will tell you I'm a pain in the ass. Besides, I'm probably the most skeptical person you've ever come across, which I've also watched them all tell you skeptical is bad. You're skeptical. Yeah, well, if you're not skeptical, the way this actually works is you're not processing anything. See, your brain is a processor. And if you're not skeptical with absolutely everything, then your brain is not being used. You're just an answer relay station. See? So That's the processing, by the way. If it doesn't have skepticism in it, if you're not going through it, that means you're not processing. That means you're not really involved in anything that's going on in your life. You're just an answer relay station. That's what I've been watching. You see, I don't deal in all the stories and bullshit. I deal at the core of our being. And I've spent 61 years quantifying and consolidating it all for you, so that you can recognize what's going on in your surroundings and not trapped in all the garbage that certain groups put out, which direct you, because you're not in inquiry. So you're not asking questions. You're just following along. You're just complaining and following along, complaining, following along. You'll have to see mice versus man. I saw in 4th grade, they're giving kids calculators. Math, that's your survival bag. Literally, it was math. And they gave calculators to circumvent it. Why? So you cannot rely on you. No choice. If you think any of this stuff is mistakes, like you argue about the education system, it's like a mistake, they don't understand. No, it's designed this way. It's designed to keep you out of inquiry. That's the whole point. That's what your whole books or bullshit system is. You understand? You'll do my exercise as far as inquiry, and then you'll see exactly how it works. Your head's in a book, you're not getting anything. The best thing you're getting is opinions from somebody who gathered shit from all over the place. That person wasn't an inquiry. That person grabbed a bunch of shit from all over the place, put it in a book, gave it to you. You have a repeater in the front of the room going, blah, 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 blah. You understand? The stuff's outdated when it was printed. It's not even their own source stuff. It's garbage from garbage. And somehow you're programmed to believe that those books are Bibles. The Jesus is in the front of the room. Okay, this is how you believe this shit. And you people think you don't believe in religion. What the hell do you think your education system is? And you'll notice your hands and feet aren't on anything. You're not looking at anything. Your head's inside of a book reading words. Your brain rejects this shit. That's the whole point. So much they have to create rules and laws to keep you incarcerated in these rooms. Why? So you don't have time for inquiry to be able to figure them out. There's good and there's evil at the core of being. Not in your storyland now, at the core. So in other words, if you look at a bunch of politicians, which I call politicians, if you look at a bunch of politicians, you're listening to what they're all saying. That's what you're all doing. And then you're chattering about what they're saying. Well, first of all, they're providing stories. And second of all, you're chattering about stories that they're providing and you're adding your own stories. So all you're doing is creating a bigger mess. That's actually all that goes on, right? And then you get all these people telling you all these different stories and blah, 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 blah. Except they had you skip over the humanity piece. See? And if you go to the APA.org, which is supposed to be your mental health industry, which is your mental abuse organization, the American Psychological Association is the evil empire. You will learn. That's the reason they're never involved in anything. That's the reason they always have people like on talk shows. They're the therapists. They're telling you what they think. Where's the APA? Well, they never show up on a national stage. Why? Because none of their shit ever matches. That's why. So they have to deal with you individually. Do you get the system? You will learn that is the Association of Psychotic Agreement. Game, confuse. And if you go to the APA.org website, well, what makes up humanity? Well, two actions make up humanity. Conscionable acts and unconscionable acts. Those that have a conscience and those that don't. So if you do a search and go to their science section or whatever and type in unconscionable, search, no results found. Type in conscionable, search, no results found. Really? Type in conscience, search, no results found. Their job is to hide humanity in any conversation whatsoever for you and from you, about you, from you, so that you can't even recognize you, which your conscience is your number one tool with your brain. They have to work side by side. They're telling you the conscience doesn't even exist. That's because they don't have one. So if you start asking them about conscience, they can't talk about it. So they just removed it. Do you understand? From society. That is the good piece. The only thing they left was the brain, which is the prick. See? So your brain is a prick. Everybody's brain is a prick. That's how this works. Okay? The question is, do you have the anti-prick, which is a conscience? So they removed conscience from everything. So they have everybody living in the prick lane. You understand? So it's sort of like personal and business, and they shifted everybody into the business lane for their lives, is what they did. Trust me, I've been watching this my entire life, baby. So how is that done? Simple. Because they jumped over the humanity piece. See? So the way it really works is if I look at a stage of people, I don't see the people. I don't give a shit what the people are. I don't care about anything. I don't care what they look like. It doesn't matter. The only thing I'm looking for are actions. That's it. What are their actions? So there are only two types. Two. Conscionable, unconscionable. Why does that matter? Very simple. That's all that matters. There's nothing else that actually matters. Zero. Just that. See, when you look at a stage, and let's say it has, for instance, Senator Elizabeth Warren, okay? There is a 100% guarantee, 100% guarantee, and this is my field, that she's a conscionable. What does that mean? That means that she's going to do what's in your best interest. Her conscience isn't going to allow her not to. Do you understand? So all the talking that goes on won't matter because her conscience is in control of your concern. Do you understand how it works? Okay. Now, if you put somebody else there that doesn't have a conscience, it's the exact opposite. They can't care about you. They don't have a conscience. That's what a conscience is. It's care. It's concern. So they can talk about concern. They can sell concern, but they can't have concern. The only thing they can do is con you into thinking that they care about you and then get you to do things that will wind up being against your own best interest. That's all they can do. And on the conscionable side, you have somebody that can't do that. Even if they wanted to, their conscience wouldn't allow them to do it. And they don't want to because their whole life is conscionable. You understand? So I know right away, I would never why would I even listen to somebody that's an unconscionable? You understand? If there's 5 people on the stage, let's say, and I know 2 of them are conscionables and the other 3 are not conscionables, I'm not listening to what those 3, what do I care what they have to say? It doesn't matter. See, because they're going to only do what works for them. They're going to sell it as if it's good for somebody else, but they're unconscionable, so they can't have concern. So everything they're going to do is going to be bad for everybody but them. Everything. And the conscionable people, they're going to do things of their concern for you. Yeah, because that's their makeup. That's how this works. There's only 2 sections. See, there's the person that is that way, and there's the person that sells that way. So why do they have such a big problem with me? Well, that's why. Because I provide tools that have recognition for everybody to distinguish the difference between these 2 at the core of our being. And then you can always go back and look at what these people have done, and you will see everything fits like a puzzle. The unconscionables are predators. They repeatedly lie about everything. They can't not lie. It's not like they're trying to lie. They can't not. They're always all in because their entire life they just keep lying and lying and lying. It's almost like a perpetual double down. And there's no way out for them. They can never stop and turn around. So they're going to just keep going to the end, to the end, to the end. And if they have to blow shit up, they're going to blow shit up because as long as it's not about them, because all they care about is them, self. They don't even care about their own kids. They can't. They don't have the conscience. And that's what the conscience does. So what you have are basically machines. See, without a conscience, you have a machine. And I can teach you how to predict exactly what these machines will do. And because they're machines, they all repeat the same exact stuff. By the way. And that's their game, the alienation game. So they want to alienate you from you because if you get to you, you'll then be able to recognize they're much different. And it's not about the stories either. They're just always doing bad stuff because they have no things in them that tells them not to. And that becomes their excitement in their life because that's their control and they don't really have any real family relationships because they're basically just machines running around. And these machines constantly are confessing that they're predators, that they're unconscionables. For instance, one of the tactics that they always use, which when you look at the actions of these machines, they repeat them, which tells you they're a machine. See, that's how it works. And that's how you know they're unconscionable because they're a machine because they repeat these actions that are against humanity, that are against logic. So if you go back to the Michael Cohen meeting, one of the things that these machines always do, and you'll see that wherever you go, this is what they do. They've done nothing but commit crimes. They don't care about anybody else. So when you go back to the Michael Cohen meeting, what you're looking at are people standing up, and everybody thinks that they're defending Donnie. They're not defending Donnie. They're defending themselves because they're unconscionables. That's what they're defending. That's why they're so violent and aggressive about it. You think they care about Donnie? They don't give a rat's ass about anybody else on the planet but themselves individually. They don't care about their own kids. Okay. These are the unconscionables standing up and confessing that. That's what they're doing. And one of the main traits of unconscionables and their acts, which is a confession, is they redirect, focus, and attack. And they always attack the reporter. Why? Because the reporter is the reporter of them. See? So they have you talking about the reporter. That redirect focus alone tells you, that's a switch that tells you only unconscionables do that, because a conscionable wants to find out what really happened. And all they're doing is redirecting you to the reporter. Look at the reporter. The reporter did something wrong. No, the reporter's just reporting these criminal acts. See? And then you'll have these crazy people go, oh, they never stop coming after me. They never stop. Why aren't they ever stopped? See, they don't stop. I'm innocent. They never stop. Well, these people haven't stopped committing crimes their whole life. They have thousands and thousands of crimes. So they make it so you can't stop if you're investigating them, because they never stop and they're still committing crimes, committing fraud by saying that they're bothering them, that they're harassing me. That's fraud against the public alone, because that person knows that they're a psychotic criminal. And they've done this their entire life. And they're just trying to bully and more further manipulate the people that they already manipulated to get them to vote for them, to put them in these positions, to abuse the whole entire planet. You understand? That's their game. And you people want to tell people which lever to pull. Wrong. You got to get people back to themselves and let them decide. They need the recognition for good and evil. That's all they need. Then once you recognize that, you're not going to listen to some crazy nut job who's not a good person, who's bad, just bad. They're just evil. They're just bad people. So if they want to, fine, but they're going to be recognized for doing that. See, because everybody's going to know how to do this. You understand? You're going to know, okay, this guy's evil, period. And you're voting for him. Okay, thanks. You know, so everybody's going to know this. That's the whole point. That's why they have the alienation game. That's why they falsely incarcerated me. That's why they extorted like $750,000 from me. That's why they trafficked my children to a Susan Selesky, who's a medically documented nut job, has 2 kills under her belt with all kind of other crimes that you couldn't even imagine, local, state, and federal. But, you know, they're all going to go down. So, you know, so nobody goes down, and they just run around and they create these crime rings all over the country. That's what I've got documented meticulously. And it's not about all the stories. It's about underground, baby. Conscionable, unconscionable. And just to show you what a circus this whole APA thing is, listen, you people on the media that tell us that you go to therapy, yeah, why don't you bring your therapist on TV? How's that sound? Good luck. The alienation game, baby. They know that their shit is complete bullshit. The fact of the matter is, you're just not at you, and they're going to take you to the fake you. Then you'll be comfortable. But you still won't be in any control whatsoever in your own life. Did your therapist ever discuss conscience, unconscionable acts, conscionable acts? Why don't you ask your therapist, because they have about a 40% rate of unconscionables in that industry. FYI. That's where the unconscionables go, because they prey on those people that have to listen to them. Tell your therapist to give a class on conscience, conscionable acts and unconscionable acts. Watch what happens. Ask them how come there are no classes. How come there are no classes on logic? Tell them the World Logical Association would like to know. From the American Psychological Association, where there used to be reverse psychology and now there's 7 billion psychology pickup. And you'll notice nothing has to match. How perfect is that for these predators? You see, I'm going to get you back to logic. They can't possibly go there. They're going to stand out like sore thumbs, baby. You're all programmed to receive virtual bullshit like a Bible. They'll even say, some people say. Really? Is that how it works? And the part that you don't get is that's your entire life. That's what your entire education system is. Some people say. But you can't see any of that. Why? Because your heads are in the books. And by rules and laws, just in case. And what besides snake oil do you have to pay for in advance? I can quantify it and consolidate it this way. You are the bald eagle society. Look at one thing, say another, and that matches somehow. That doesn't throw a flag in your brain, right? And you keep saying bald eagle. Why? Because your answer relay. It doesn't have to make any sense whatsoever. That's how they programmed you. Answer relay. Not you. We'll give you the answer. You relay it. We're going to make things absolutely not match, diametrically opposing, and you're still going to be answer relay. That's how they programmed you to answer relay whatever the hell they tell you, whatever they put in books, whatever they put on the news. It doesn't matter. Your answer relay. And once you really understand how this whole thing works, those people in that Michael Cohen meeting standing up and redirecting focus all the time to Michael Cohen, not to Donnie, which is what the whole thing was about. Well, all they were doing was providing a conspiracy to defraud the American people after they conspired to defraud the people that voted for them, not even to pay attention to any of this stuff, because the other people were just making a show out of it. The alienation game, alienate them from them, and then they'll just give them the answers to relay. And then you all want to do all these charities and organizations, which are basically the effects of these predators' acts. And you want to spend all your time cleaning up their effects and not realizing you're going to do all these laws and changes, but you have to come back to the table at the Michael Cohen meeting. You have evil in a group, coordinated. Do you understand? What's the difference what all these bubbles that they created do? You have to fix the bubbles, but you got to go back into the kitchen, which was sitting right there for you at the Michael Cohen meeting. And the question really is, what American citizen would vote for that? If you look in their retroactives, you'll notice that that's all they do is interfere with humanity. Everything is quantified and consolidated to one thing. No choice. They use things like pro-life. They just hijack these names is all they do. Pro-life. Has any of them adopted even one kid from somebody that was going to abort a child? I care so much about life. You have the child. I will take care of it. Have any of them ever done that once? No, because all they do is hijack these groups. They are not connected at all. They are only looking at it as no choice. That's all they care about. And you want to know what's wrong with your police force. Well, it's the same thing that's wrong with all of your oversight commissions, local, state, federal. You people only discuss the federal bullshit. You have no idea what the cancer that lies in the base of this entire nation is like. That's what I documented. That's what I documented. And they also stole my home, which was fully paid for. And they wound up somehow through some illegal corporations and LLCs and stuff that weren't even valid. All the documentation is available. All of it. I filed federal cases in court. Have you heard about those federal cases? No. Happened to be against the APA for $1,100,000,000. But nobody ever heard of these cases. In fact, they stopped delivering my U.S. mail. Filed another case for $26.8 billion against all these thugs. And then another case to stop the previous election because it was all fraudulently based, as I documented. You heard of any of those? No, neither have I. They stopped delivering my U.S. mail. You see, and then they hold trials in courts without me, which I've documented throughout the years. That's all these psychotic predators do. And they're all in your legal system. They're your judicial branch, which is the most predatory branch across the planet, is the USA judicial branch. It's unbelievable, actually. They simply attack a conscience and they allow the unconscionables to roam around and create chaos, as you will learn. For example, these judges all work in concert with thugs. So you have James W. Holderness, who they use as a legal person. If you do a search on him, you'll find out that this guy ripped off 24,000 families for $10 million across the country. Then the Federal Trade Commission, the Consumer Protection Division for this entire country, takes him to court and he has to pay $100,000 and the rest of the money, don't worry about it. And then they let him out on the street again. Cheated 24,000 people. out on the street again, they winds up on my door creating illegal LLCs and stuff. And these judges all authorize all this stuff as you go along throughout all the branches, by the way, district, circuit, appellate, they're all grommet factories. And then that's how they steal my house. And all the documentation is documented, but it's all illegal and fraudulently done. They change all kind of stuff in the state records illegally. You can see it all. It's all available. And you all are talking about all the birdseed that they create and not about them. The APA has you feeling good about popping their bubbles that these bubble machines keep making. Do you understand? That's the game. That's what you're trapped in. Once they have you feeling good, you keep repeating it. All you're doing is popping bubbles that these bubble machines make to keep you busy. Why? Well, if you weren't busy, you'd have time to think about them. And all these politicians, all they keep yelling about is all of the effects of the unconscionables, all the acts that they've done that's created these things. Global warming. I mean, you name it. These are just the effects. They're sitting there popping bubbles. It's ridiculous. You can't win that way. That's nuts. They can make as many bubbles as they want. You have to turn around and deal with the bubble makers. Okay. There's no way that these people can do anything but make bad bubbles. That's all they do. You can watch it. And once you know what you're looking at, you can watch it. Plus, that's all they've done. So it's all trapped in their retroactive, which is why the APA has everybody next chapter. Talk to your therapist. They funnel this shit through these therapists and then they put them into your brain. Next chapter, you want to move on. Ask your therapist. Watch what they say. You want to move on. Ask your therapist about a conscience. They'll tell you, yeah, it's part of the brain. That's what the APA told them, as if a brain surgeon is doing surgery today on a conscience. You understand? They're just having the entire APA membership completely ignore a conscience by telling them they have nothing to do with it. That's part of the brain. No, it's not. No, you're a three-piece band. There's you, there's your conscience, and your brain. That's how it works. And I'm going to get you to be able to control all these things so that they can't. Because that's how it works now. They control all these pieces. Listen, there's so much confusion that goes on every day. You don't even recognize any of it. I was watching Fox News yesterday, and they showed some kind of baseball thing with some kind of politicians or something. I don't know what the hell it was. But what I do know is when they put up statistics, they didn't put up baseball statistics. They didn't have 3 digits after the dot. They put up statistics with 2 digits. And they're talking about baseball statistics. Well, baseball has 3 digits. So why does Fox News put up 2 digits? Because I'm looking at this and my brain's going, this is all goofy. This is not, what the hell are they even talking about? And that's what they do. See, all they do is intentionally confuse. You don't think Fox News knows that baseball has 3 digits after the dot? So why do they put 2 digits? This is all they do. Everything is designed to confuse you in ways that you don't even recognize now. So if you watch that show, I bet you that didn't even occur to you. Why? Because you're answer relay. That's why. You don't process anything. You can't process without inquiry. And how are you going to inquire when you're looking at a box that you can't talk to? You see, the game is that you're not inquiring about what they're telling you. They're just telling you. Do you understand the difference? So your system doesn't need to know this shit, because if it did, it would inquire about it. But they're telling you what to inquire about. That's not how our systems work, by the way. You see, you have to tend to the bubbles. No question. You can't leave the cancer that they created or the crap that they create through the vaccine. You can't just ignore any of this stuff, right? You have to take care of that, but you have to eliminate the bubble machines. See? And if you eliminate the bubble machines, guess what? All the bubbles will go away. And then what happens? Then you wind up in a space where you have conscionables that aren't constantly interrupted by crap to create problems. And then you'll have more time to be in a space. Guess what? Inquiry. Peace and inquiry, where you can think. Instead, you're always talking about the chaos that they create. See? You need to get rid of them. United States of America citizens. It's you have to vote. You got to get to you, and I can definitely get you there. If you have a conscience. If you don't, I can't help you. Good luck. But not really. I mean, you have this guy, Mitch McConnell, right? I mean, this is extremely high level unconscionable. He's always been. You can look at the guy, look in his eyes. He's dead. Okay, so you have people that are voting for this guy who basically interrupts and intercepts humanity. That's what he does. He just gets in the way of. That's all he does. That's his job. Well, that requires a machine like no machine. You understand? So that person, that thing is not even human. You understand? And you have people voting for this thing. You think in that state, whatever the hell state it is, you think that state is getting more because he's there? No, the entire planet is getting less because he's there. That's how this works. And getting more chaos because he's there. Location, location, location. Whatever the hell state it is, you're being conned to abuse yourself and your children. 100% guarantee. Look in this thing's retroactive. You will see. Then the question comes up, well, these people in this state, what the hell are you doing? There's something wrong with you? No, not at all. Like everybody else, you're conned. That's how this whole thing works. They con everybody. Don't feel bad. Just feel stupid if you don't do something about it once you know. That's the only thing there is to know. You can't do anything about having already been conned. And you have an entire system that does that by default. So everybody gets conned, right? Now we got recognition for it. Now you have to use the recognition to help yourself and your kids and everybody else. It's all one big pot, baby. And they want to have what they call divide and conquer. But that's not the way it is. It's one big pot. See? You even have your ex-presidents and ex-vice presidents have these organizations and charities and foundations. They don't even realize that these are monuments of failures. If they were successful, they wouldn't need these foundations, and they have them being proud of it. No, and they have them going separate directions. That's wrong. You have to come together. See, they all collude together, just like you saw in the meeting with Michael Cohen, right? They all collude together and they have all of you going separate. Do you understand? That's all I've been watching. You people have to come together. Because they come together. You think they're going after Ohio and retaining Ohio because what? They're doing it to people? No. You having a whole entire thing here going to handle Ohio. Trust me. And what's your defense? You're two people. That's not going to work. You see, you're all trying to convince people of something that I'm telling you I can have you all witness for yourselves. So you don't have to sell anything. That's what evil people do. They sell. But you don't have to sell anything. All that has to be provided is recognition, which is what's eliminated, which is what your whole education system is about. Removing recognition, because that has you doing it. See? They just tell you what it is. They give you the recognition. The education for the recognition of you. That's the only education that's needed first. Yeah, the small minor piece called the core of being that the psychos all have everybody jump over. Now let's start in Storyland. Great, go find them now. Well, now you can with this research. The research of you. Allegations equals confessions. Redirect focus and attack. Extremes, which is very similar to a rapist yelling rape. The main tools are urgency, pity, and loyalty. That's how they lure people in and get them to do shit that they wouldn't normally do. And keep in mind, these unconscionables have an unbelievable advantage. They know they're unconscionables. They know a conscience, so they know you, and they also know that you don't know them. And that's the number one game, is that you never have recognition for what they really are, which are machines. So they use the alienation game, which is no choice. So they alienate you, they alienate you from everything, they alienate everybody from everything. They use these illegal gag orders. They use the infamous non-disclosures in fraud sandwiches. So people don't even say that they have a non-disclosure. So right away, you know that's from an unconscionable. See, that's a confession from an unconscionable. You can't tell my future victims about this even. Otherwise, why can't you say that there's a contract? What's the problem with that? Well, that's how they keep violating and abusing people. Because everybody that they victimize, they leave them that they can't tell the next people that, by the way, this guy's going to victimize you. And first he's going to get you to sign this thing that you can't tell any future victims. They know that they're committing fraud and abuses all along the way. The number of years in jail time that these people actually accumulate are in the tens of thousands. Tens of thousands. That's all they do is commit crimes. They don't stop. Perjury is like you drink water. They all know each other. Like this guy Barr, he's a plant. He's a simple plant. Donnie knows he's going to have to go through this location. So he puts a plant, a psychotic unconscionable that he knows, in that location. See how it works? So Donnie knows what he's doing. This is not like, oh, what's with Barr? Well, how did he make that decision? No. The decision's made long before Donnie even put Barr in that position. That's how this whole thing works. You people are playing in after the fact. No. They're playing like a pool game where they have 3-4 shots ahead. And you're all playing after the fact. Like we're going to clean up the mess when they're done. Don't you get it? That's why everything keeps getting worse. But before we clean it up, we're going to discuss it with 200 radio stations and TVs and all this other crap. No, really. Just turn around and get rid of the cancer. Just turn around and get rid of the cancer. 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 You have to know that these things can't stop. So you have to have my vision that this is going to end really bad. Really bad. And there's only going to be you people defending these things. That's how this game works. And who's going to be coming? Well, the rest of the world. Because eventually everybody's going to have had enough. That's how this is going to end. I'm telling you. You better handle it here instead of defending your abusers. You've been conned. Get over it. You've been conned every day since you've been alive. Get over it. If you don't get over it, you're not going to be able to switch lanes. When you switch lanes, then you're going to be able to go back there and have recognition. But as long as you don't get over it, you're going to be stuck in that lane and you're going to be consistently abusing yourself and everybody else. What I'm saying is you need to move on until you get into the right lane. Then you need to not move on and do retroactive. And then you need to not get over it because you'll really be seeing what's really going on. I don't know if that's confusing or not, but it's rather simple. How you'll know is when you see both lanes. You'll be able to see both lanes. Right now, you only see one lane, but there are 2 lanes. So you'll be able to see both lanes. So you're going to have to get over the fact that you've been conned your whole life. And in order to be able to rely on yourself, in order to be able to have recognition for what's going on around you, and then whatever shows up, shows up. And you're not being directed as to what's showing up. You're just viewing what's showing up. See, if I ask you what's the point of the moon, you're not going to know. You're going to go to Google or something. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't rely on you, which is ridiculous. You'll also probably come upon recognition that both lanes are incorrect, by the way. That's what keeps you all fighting. See, if any of them were correct, then we'd have a winner. And they would be the winner. But there's never a winner. That's because they're both wrong. See, but you're all stuck in those lanes. And then that's the right lane and you're right. But yet you're all right. But yet you all have different opinions, but yet you're all right. See, nothing any of you do makes any logical sense whatsoever. And that's why you keep running around. Because you're never dealing with the actual core issue. You're dealing with the bubbles that they create all the time, which has you so busy you can't even get close to inquiry. You don't ever ask questions. You just provide answers to everybody, which they take and relay. That's what you call? I don't know what the hell you call this. Listen, let's get something really clear. Okay? I don't have any answers. I just have questions. That's it. The question is, why do they have problems with my questions? Why can't they ever answer any of my questions? They can answer all your questions, but they can't answer any of mine. So they have to play the alienation game to alienate you from anything that has to do with them so that they can continue to control you. Here's another way to look at it. One kid does bad things. The other kid complains about the bad things. That's how it works. See? So if you go through time, you have one kid creates bad things and the other one complains about the bad things. And they go through time and what happens? Well, you have all the creations of all the bad things. And on this side, you have, well, all the complaints. So you want to know how things keep getting worse. Really? Is that what your question is? See, and then all these creations, by the way, that this bad kid makes, well, they're also roadblocks that are put in the way for when this other person decides to take a complaint and try to do something about it. Well, oh, you know what? They put these roadblocks in. So there's rules that you can't really do that way. So you can't really get to the problem itself. So, well, you'll just have to keep complaining. Books take you out of your reality and into their delusion. You decide. Where you are by default trapped in answer relay. They also changed the definition of intelligence. It's 4 words only. The ability to learn. The ability to learn. You're all trapped in answer relay. You don't have any ability to do anything because you have to process stuff first. But your processor has been taken away. When you were a kid, they gave you a calculator. Why? So to not rely on you. No choice. The other word that I looked up when I was a small kid, one of 2 words, was nigger. They changed that also. The definition of nigger, when I looked it up, was 1 word, thief. Now, why would they change the definition of nigger? Very simple. Because they're the niggers. That's why. Allegations equals confessions, redirect focus, and attack. Extremes. Allegations equals confessions, redirect focus, and attack. Extremes. You see how everything fits? They're telling you what they are, or what they've done, or what they plan on doing. Do you understand? They're always the rapist yelling rape. Keep in mind, they attack the reporter. That's a confession alone. The only thing you need to do is go, okay, we want to discuss what the reporter is reporting. We're not interested in talking about the reporter. We're interested in talking about the reporter's report, what they're reporting. That's what we want to know. And then we'll decide about the reporter. You want us to talk about the reporter, about something else the reporter did in some other life, about something else, anything but what the reporter reported right here. Correct? So that's an admission and a confession of unconscionable. Thank you very much.
Kids, be the source.